Well, valued community members, we are delighted today that you could join us for our first ever Distinguished Speaker Virtual Luncheon. When we first conceived of these lunches about 4 years ago now, we thought we'd have about 10 to 15 members come into our small conference room to engage with local officials. As many of you know, these luncheons have become a hot ticket, and we have been gratified by the opportunity to get to know so many of our community's distinguished leaders and let them network with you. Though much has changed in the last few months, some things have not. We are humbled by your support, and we look forward to continuing our work on your behalf in whatever new forms these efforts may take. And we particularly look forward to bringing you more high-demand speakers like our own Dr. Paul Brody, our guest today. I'll be giving Dr. Brody a more formal introduction in just a minute. But first, let me take a minute to introduce our event sponsor, UF Health's Douglas Williams Executive Health Program. UF Health Douglas Williams Executive Health Program is an early detection program that promotes health and beneficial lifestyle changes. Here with us today is A.B. Eberhardy and Destiny Knopf. These last few months have only emphasized the importance of quality healthcare, and we are very fortunate to have such a wealth of services right here in our community. Destiny will give us an insider's look at Douglas Williams Executive Health, and then we'll get right to our program. Thank you all again for joining us today, and let's welcome Destiny.
Destiny, this is Alyssa. I'm checking because I don't think the rest of us can hear you.
Oh, am I supposed to be talking now? I'm sorry, it kicked me off. So.
Okay, sorry.
See, I love Zoom. All right, so hi, I'm Destiny. I'm the nurse for Executive Health. Yeah, I've been having some issues with Zoom, as you can tell, but I have been playing around with Zoom, and I found that there are a lot of things that I do love about Zoom. A couple of them is that you could kind of hide some things, especially when you're in meetings. Atticus, I can't share anything. Well, I was going to show you something, but it's not allowing me to share anything. So I'll just go on and tell you about the program. So a lot of people conveniently forget to see their doctor each year for their annual physical for many reasons, either due to time constraints, because of a busy schedule, the inconvenience of having to make and attend multiple appointments, because of certain tests and procedures that need to be done because of their age, or because they feel it's unnecessary. Unfortunately, more recently, people are delaying their annual physical out of fear that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought on all of us. Luckily for you, I have an optimal solution, and that is Douglas Williams Executive Health. Our clinic offers the highest level of cleanliness and privacy, providing the opportunity to get your healthcare needs addressed without the hazards and concerns involved in attending an appointment in a traditional medical setting. At Executive Health, you will be welcomed in a relaxing environment, receive personalized care, a thorough medical exam, all your age-specific labs and diagnostic tests performed with results the same day, and individual lifestyle modifications with a dietitian and athletic trainer. The best part is that all of this is completed in one full 5 to 7 hour day, and you are our only focus. We can see a maximum of 2 patients, so feel free to schedule your spouse, family member, friends, or employee on that same day too. An executive health exam with us will be nothing short of eye-opening, life-changing, and quite possibly the best day you will ever invest in the future of your health. So please look into more information about our program, schedule with us. I do get a list of everyone that attends this, and I'll be able to send out more information as well. So Eric, thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Destiny. I can definitely tell you the executive health program, Douglas Williams, is definitely worth it, and the peace of mind and how thorough they are. It was an enjoyable experience. I didn't know what to expect, but it was incredible. My wife and I were so happy that we got that done early in the year prior to anything happening, and we recommend it to everyone that we meet. So at this point in time, I will give our speaker introduction. Without further ado, let me let you in on some of the neat stuff about Dr. Paul Brody. Dr.
Eric.
Paul Brody.
Eric.
Yes.
Before you do that, I'm having a little bit of difficulty, so give me a second because you're frozen on my end. I had to call in on a different number.
Okay.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll let you know.
Absolutely. Well, I'll give them some more insider stuff on
Okay.
Dr.
Thank you.
No, so just to make sure that everyone knows, some little housekeeping here. If you have any questions for Dr. Brody, you do not have to wait till the end. You can go right now on the Q&A and submit those questions so that they can be ready for him. And I just love all of these embracing of new technology on all of our parts and all of our challenges as we smooth out each step as we go and get our participants in at the same time. So I can also tell you a little bit more about Douglas Williams. The best part about it, is this a secret at the end, or Destiny, or I can share that?
No, share away, please.
Okay, okay, good. Well, you know, the food, first of all, it's amazing what they feed you in there. It's just, and I don't feel guilty because it's all healthy, which is great. But what's really neat at the end, we had these incredible massagers. It was just like, what? And I'm just like, okay. And it just tops it off. So, you know, I leave feeling good that I've taken care of everything I need from a health standpoint. It's done, it's early, and it was just one day instead of appointments throughout the year, going to get this and going to get that. It was just incredible. And I just can't recommend it enough. And we're so excited to have that on it. So please let me know. Yes. Dr.
Are you
Brody?
able to see me?
No, I see your name.
I am frozen. Hold on a second. I apologize.
Okay.
I'm going to try to call in on my phone, believe it or not.
Okay. Oh, there you are.
All right. Can you see me?
Yep.
All right, great.
Okay. So Dr. Paul Brody II began serving as Santa Fe's 5th president on February 1st, 2020. In his inaugural address, he pledged the following pillars would guide his leadership and path forward. They are student success, individual and institutional growth, innovation, partnerships, and evolution. Dr. Brody is passionate about being part of the fabric of the community and ensuring that everyone has access to and awareness of a quality education offered by the college. For nearly 3 decades, Dr. Brody has expanded academic programs, student services, innovative technology, community partnerships, and campus facilities, always with a focus on the student. He is tireless in his commitment, as illustrated by his previously leading 2 community colleges at the same time. Houstonic Community College in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Gateway Community College in New Haven, Connecticut. At the national level, Dr. Brody is continuing the college's commitment, the League for Innovation in the Community College, of which Santa Fe is a charter member. Locally, he addresses academic and workforce needs in the community by serving on the boards of CareerSource, North Central Florida, and the Greater Gainesville Chamber. Dr. Brody was named among Connecticut's 100 most influential by the NAACP and among the region's 50 most influential by New Haven's Biz magazine. He holds a PhD from Colorado State University, an MBA from Long Island University, and a BS in Business Administration from Mercy College. Please, let's welcome our speaker, Dr. Paul Brody.
Thank you so much. These are different times for us, and I want to say, first of all, thank you, Eric, for your kind introduction. I don't know who you were introducing, but sounds like a great guy.
Yes.
But thanks for your kind introduction, and I like to say that none of those accomplishments were accomplished alone. It involves a collective whole, all the individuals that surround me, the community, and our community leaders. And as I embark on the presidency of Santa Fe College, I intend to continue that tradition that I have of embracing the community and ensuring that we connect with all individuals throughout the community so that we can uplift lives and change lives. So it's an honor to address you today, the Gainesville Greater Chamber. The Chamber has been a huge supporter of education, as many of you know. They are the foundation of our economy, and you are vital to having a strong middle class where people can pursue the dreams that they set forth and become productive and engaged members of our society. We at Santa Fe share the same values. In fact, it was in 2015 when I became familiar with Santa Fe College, when Santa Fe College received the Aspen Prize. As some of you may know, the Aspen Prize is designated to the #1 community college in the country. And Santa Fe is proud to hold that designation as a #1 college in the country. Now, we're #1, not just because of our completion rates and our retention rates and all of those things. We're #1 because we care. We care about others' lives, and we care about finding ways to uplift individuals' lives and believe in every single individual that walks through our door. That's why when the announcement came out of Dr. Sass's retirement, who was a great leader, I was very interested in the position. I did my homework, and I wanted to make sure that it was a good fit for me. So I picked up the phone and I called some of the community leaders. And Eric, you were one of those community leaders that I called, and we had a conversation. Then I called Dr. Fox, and we had a conversation. And then I called the superintendent, and we had a conversation. And when I hung up the phone, I said, if I have the opportunity to work for that amazing institution, if I have an opportunity to become a part of the fabric of the Gainesville community, I will be in heaven. And fortunately, I have been given that opportunity, and it's an opportunity that I will make sure that I capitalize on. One of the things that was common in all of those conversations was community. One of the things that was really stood out for me was, how do we uplift the community? How do we have an impact? And it was indicated by each of those leaders that I spoke to that Santa Fe was a critical part of that. So for me, it's all about making those relationships and creating those relationships. And I knew that Santa Fe was an integral part of that and wanted to be a part of it myself. So here's what's very interesting. My first day at Santa Fe, I walked through the door, and without thinking, my comment was, I'm home. I'm home. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that Gainesville, my wife Joanne and I, we just purchased a home here in Gainesville. This is home for us. And we will make sure we do everything possible to have an impact in the greater Gainesville community at Santa Fe, and as far as I'm concerned, nationwide. Growing up, I grew up in New York City, and I know firsthand how important education is. I know firsthand that education breaks cycles of poverty. So here's how I know that. I spent every summer in Charlotte, North Carolina with my grandfather. And my grandfather worked for Davidson College, and he taught us the importance of hard work. And believe me, it was hard work. He had us in the garden, he had us out and about. But one of the things I noticed was that he was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work, coming home, and then going to work in the garden and working around the house. And that just showed me hard work pays off. My dad left home at 17 after he graduated and decided that he was going to go to New York City. And so he ventured off to New York City, and we lived in Harlem. Eventually, he was working 2 jobs, and eventually we moved to Co-op City, which was a high rise in the Bronx. Then eventually we owned our own home. He spent very little time at home while that was occurring, and he was pursuing his education at Fordham University. And what I noticed that it was that every time he obtained a degree or some type of educational accomplishment, our lives changed. Instead of working 2 jobs, he spent more time with the family and worked 1 job. And when I saw that, he kept excelling us the power of education. And when I saw what education did for him and my family, my life's mission became to expose as many people as possible to the power of education. So Santa Fe is committed to that power of education. For me, this is a calling. For Santa Fe College, it's a calling. It's a responsibility of our institution. And when you walk through our doors, you see it in every individual that you encounter. Those individuals that work at Santa Fe College, our faculty, our staff, are some of the greatest individuals I've ever met. I've been at Santa Fe for a little over 6-7 months, but I've been in higher education for a little over 30 years. I had no intention of going into higher education. My focus was going to be in business, but seeing how education changes lives, I could not resist making that a career for me. It's my lifelong passion. So I said I began my tenure at Santa Fe about 6 or 7 months ago. I began that tenure listening, learning, and leading. And from the outset, I pledged that the following pillars would guide my path forward: student success, individual and institutional growth, innovation, partnerships, and evolution. Partnerships is particularly key for me because we can do a lot of things at the college. We can have great impact, but our impact is even greater when we partner and connect with those within the community. So as a college, we will continue to evolve. We have to continue to evolve, otherwise we do a disservice to our students in our community. So as new technology emerges, we need to educate people about that new technology. As new programs emerge, we need to be at the forefront of that. Santa Fe has always done that, and we will continue to do that. I'm going to highlight just a few things that demonstrate the impact of Santa Fe. Our focus across the institution is broad. So our veterans, we embrace our veterans. Our veterans have served this country well. And Santa Fe College, because of our commitment to our veterans, we have been named a bronze level military school for our service. Our police department, and there's a lot of focus on police. Our police department received a national award for creating one of the safest college environments in the country. And we're already a model for campus police departments across our state. Our college itself won Best Practice Award from the Association of Colleges for courses that take the mystery out of college students from disadvantaged backgrounds, educating them on what it means to be a college student and that college is for them. Our high school dual enrollment program, which has saved families $1.2 million and over $700,000 in textbooks, is over 1,200 students enrolled. Last year, our dual enrollment students earned more than 16,000 credits. So think about that. Students graduating from high school with college credits. Think about the savings to families. But more importantly, think about what that does to closing equity gaps and introducing individuals to education. In fact, at our Watson Center, we had students that were in the dual enrollment program. Every one of those students graduated with an associate's degree. At the same time, they were graduating high school. Those students that applied to University of Florida, were accepted at a rate of 100%. Think about the great power between that, right? That's how you break cycles of poverty. You introduce individuals to education, and Santa Fe is at the forefront of doing that. We have an extensive track record in partnering with our partners in the University of Florida, and I want to thank Kent Fox. I also want to thank our superintendent for creating those pathways. So those pathways to opportunity through education are critical. As president, it's important for me to continue that strong connection and those strong pathways. We have articulation agreements with the University of Florida, and our students are accepted 5 times more from Santa Fe to the University of Florida than any other college. That says something about A, the connection that we have with the University of Florida, but B, the power of our educational delivery, right? That we ensure that students graduate with a quality education. As president, it's important for me to be a part of the fabric of the community. It's essential for us as an institution to address the community's needs, and it's critical for us to educate our citizens. I truly believe that the way you attract business to an area is by having an educated workforce. And here in Gainesville, we probably have the most educated workforce there is. Between UF and Santa Fe College, we educate several citizens. That needs to be a key for us in attracting businesses and employers to the area. In addition to that, this pandemic has truly impacted us as a nation. Our unemployment here in Alachua County in February was 2.7%. It is now upwards of 6.7%. Our citizens are being impacted by this pandemic. It's up to us together to address the skills gap. It's up to us together to offer workforce training opportunities. It's up to us together to prepare citizens for careers in which they can sustain their families and earn a livable wage. Santa Fe has made many investments in our community. One of those investments, and you will see it's actually happening today, we're beginning to take down the old Seed Center in preparation for the Blount campus. The Blount campus construction is commencing as we speak, and that facility will be a beacon of hope for all, but in particular for our citizens in East Gainesville. You know, when I was preparing for applying for this position, a statistic just jumped out at me, and it never left me. That 45% of African American children live in poverty. So when I spoke to the college community, one of the first things I said to them is, It's not enough for us to break cycles of poverty. It's not enough for us to address equity gaps. We, as an institution, need to shatter those equity gaps. We, as a community, need to shatter the equity gaps. We need to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to excel and realize their dreams. I've seen a lot of students come into our institutions, not just here at Santa Fe, nationwide, and family life gets in the way. They have a lot of obstacles in their way, and they're hopeless. I've seen people that were hopeless, and I've watched them walk through the doors of education, and that hopelessness turn into hope. It is my job as president to ensure that the students that enter our doors, the community members that enter our doors, that we turn hopelessness into hope. And we can do that through education. We can do that through connecting with the Gainesville Chamber. We can do that through connecting with the school district, the K through 12 environment. And we can do that by connecting with our university partners. We stand ready and able to make a difference in the lives of others. Eric, you are in the life-changing business. So are we, so is the University of Florida, and so is the school district. We change lives, maybe in different ways. So making sure that our small businesses thrive, that's something that we need to partner on. That's something that we need to be at the forefront of together. Ensuring that we attract new businesses, that's something we need to be doing jointly. Making sure that we build the workforce of the future, Santa Fe stands ready to do that. In fact, we are having conversations as we speak about ways to offer training that employers need for their workforce. Over at our GTech Center, we have incubation occurring, and we're watching companies increase their employees. One company is increasing their employees from 3 employees to 9 employees. Another company has increased their employees from 10 employees to 25 employees, all working here in Gainesville. To me, that's the power of Santa Fe. That is the power of education. So as we embark on building our Blunt campus, as we embark on shattering equity gaps, as we embark on making sure that there's opportunities for every single citizen to be successful, as we embark on ensuring that our businesses and our business community thrives, Santa Fe stands ready to be at the forefront of that. It's not just something that we want to do, it's something that we have to do. It's something we've done for years. Since 1966, we've made sure that we've impacted lives. This pandemic, and I'm going to say it over and over and over again, this pandemic has wreaked havoc on individuals' lives. When people lose jobs and people are not able to sustain themselves and there's economic downturns, the history demonstrates that the community colleges are at the forefront of ensuring that we rebuild the economy. That's history. Every time there's a recession, people flock to education. Every time there's an economic downturn, people flock to education. And they get retrained, they get educated. They go and they find different jobs because maybe their job went away and won't be coming back. And I do suspect that that will happen as a result of this pandemic. As more individuals begin to work remotely, we will see more individuals that need to be trained in a different way. Santa Fe College will stand ready to do that. Think about this number. During the Great Depression, the number of students enrolled in community colleges nationwide soared by almost 25%. Education is the key to getting individuals out of their current system. I'm going to talk a little bit about COVID-19. It disrupted education, higher education. It disrupted the landscape of higher education. Our institution, we successfully pivoted. we transitioned to a virtual service delivery format, and we quickly moved our classes online, and we conducted virtual advising, and we did everything virtually, and were very successful in ensuring that our students continue to receive their education. But one thing happened, and here's what happened. As we transitioned everything to online, as we began our remote services, we realized very quickly that some individuals were being left behind. You know, in our rural communities, individuals were without technology. So it wasn't enough just to say, okay, we're going to move to online and you have to log into this virtual educational session, because those students didn't have access. We had a student that was in Orlando who didn't have a computer and was doing his paper on his cell phone. For us, that's not acceptable. For us, that digital divide needs to be addressed. We found ways as an institution to ensure that people had access to the technology that they needed. We opened our parking lot Wi-Fi and allowed students to use the Wi-Fi in our parking lots. We received some funding, and we decided to provide laptops to students that didn't have those laptops. And then we put together a scholarship using CARES Act funding to help those students that were disrupted by this pandemic, those students that no longer had access to childcare and needed the funding, those students that had lost their jobs and needed to find ways to pay their rent. That is what we do at Santa Fe. We create those opportunities so that individuals can continue to pursue their education and don't have to stop. So for me, we need to continue to do that. We need to make sure that the digital divide is addressed. Those that live in poverty are less likely to have the technology to do online instruction. So as we reopen the college, we're reopening mindful of COVID-19, but also mindful of the importance of access. We're reopening at 25% in-person instruction. Most of that 25% is going to be your hands-on courses, because when we went remote, those students in our hands-on programs were disrupted. You can't really do welding virtually. So we had to make sure that we brought those students back to campus to continue their education. We're also offering courses for those that do not have the technology, that are in our rural communities, or are living in poverty and don't have the means to have an internet connection or technology. It's important for us to make sure that we're impacting everyone's life. I'm about to close, but before I close, I do want to say something. We, as an institution, have a long-standing commitment to access, inclusion, and diversity. And I want to thank the Chamber for partnering with us to host the recent groundwater racial equity workshop. It's important for us all to learn how racism affects educational outcomes and every other facet of American life. This is what helps us address problems. It's not statements, but this call to action is what helps us address problems. As a leader in community policing, we understand the importance of fairness and justice in law enforcement. Our college itself has begun conversations with the city manager and the chief of police about how we can further support and emphasize that kind of training at our Institute for Public Safety. Our campus itself, we plan to create an LGBTQ center in the near future. It is one of our many efforts to provide the support for all students so that they can succeed and prosper in our community. I truly believe in what's called collective impact. So as an institution, we can do so many things alone, but together we can achieve greatness. Over the years, we've partnered with the Chamber, and our college will continue to look for and seek out those partnerships. Remember, I'm going to close with this. 45% of African American children live in poverty. Individuals in our rural communities lack access to technology. Individuals that are impoverished lack access to technology. We must break those cycles of poverty. As president, I usually go around when I'm shopping in the store, or I'm at Publix or where have you, and I talk to people. And I talk to them about what they're doing in their lives. And I remember talking to a guy, and he said, I'm a high school graduate. I was pretty strong high school student, and I'm working XYZ job. And I said to him, why don't you go to Santa Fe? Why don't you come to college? And I was stunned, but not surprised. His response back to me was, college is not for me. And I said, what do you mean? He says, I've never been told that I should go to college. And I gave him my card and I said, I'm telling you, college is for you and you should go to college. It may not necessarily, he actually wanted to be a plumber. He wanted to open up a plumbing business. And I said to him, it's not necessarily go to college to get your associate's degree, go to college and get your bachelor's degree. There's so many opportunities that Santa Fe College offers. We have workforce programs for you to be successful. We have continuing education programs for you to be successful. Those that want to learn English, we have those programs to help you do that. We are a place of opportunity. And when I said that to him, when I said to him, go to college, and he said, no one ever told me that, it solidified for me the importance of us infusing ourselves throughout the community and letting everyone we encounter know that education is for them. That is how we will break the cycle of poverty. One of the best ways to break a poverty cycle, one of the best ways to uplift the community, one of the best ways to increase business in our community, one of the best ways to make sure that our community thrives is to introduce as many people as possible to reaching the dream of education. So for me, that is my life's calling. For Santa Fe, as an institution, our success and our impact has been extremely great, and I look forward to continued partnerships and interacting with each and every one of you. Thank you. So Eric, I'm going to toss it back to you at the moment. Eric?
Thank you, Dr. Brody. That was incredible. I really appreciate you going in and sharing those details. That's inspirational. And I am, hopefully the community understands how I am excited and why I'm so excited that you are here and you're bringing that fresh vision for us as we move forward. At this time, we're opening up everything for a Q&A, and so you can feel free to send your questions. And Alyssa, I will turn it over to you, and you can begin with what we have there first. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Dr. Brody. We do have a couple of questions here in the chat, so I will begin with those. The first is, thank you for a great presentation. Do you see any new careers coming due to the pandemic that Santa Fe can help educate and train for?
Yes, I think the focus in IT and technology is going to be very important. I in particular think that bolstering opportunities for cybersecurity will be critical. There's a growth in the need for individuals with skills in cybersecurity. So those are some of the areas. There is also, as I mentioned, that we're looking very closely at working with business and industry to see what existing needs currently exist, because there's been a shift. So an employer may have needed something, individuals to be trained in a certain area, and that may have shifted. So we're going out and we're starting to meet with business and industry to see what those needs are.
Thank you for that. The second question is whether you might be able to speak to the ongoing partnership with the Alachua Habitat for Humanity. The program allows students to have hands-on experience in the construction trades at the same time they're building a home that a hardworking family can afford and also helping to break the cycle of poverty. So could you speak to that program?
Yes. So it's a program that most recently we dedicated our 10th home. And it's a partnership with Habitat for Humanity. And I want to thank Habitat for that partnership. It's been a long-standing partnership. And it's a partnership where we help construct a home, and that home, Habitat donates to a family in need. Again, that's where you impact a community. I had the pleasure of meeting the family that received our 10th home, and I spent probably 5 or 6 hours with that family, and to watch a mom in tears because she was a homeowner now, to know that our students through the construction technology program received that hands-on experience, that constructed a home for a family and understood now the power of serving others. It's a feeling that you cannot describe. So our partnership with Habitat has been very, very strong, and we've ensured that those families in need are able to become homeowners.
Thank you, Dr. Brody. And actually that question came from Scott Winsler, who is the executive director for Habitat locally. And he wanted me to clarify that the homes are sold to families with affordable mortgages.
Yes.
And that's part of the huge benefit of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yes, so they are sold. Thanks. Hey, Scott. Um, so here's what happens. Affordable mortgages, and you just unlocked for that family the ability for them to actually, not just the family. So when I was there, one of the things that I noticed, and I was informed of, that the home was donated, and it was on land that was donated by the city, and the community began to be transformed as the homes were being erected there, and it had a great impact on the community itself.
Thank you. Third question, has your state funding been affected by COVID, and what's your plan to pivot if so?
Yes. So it's unfortunate, the pandemic situation. It has impacted our funding. There's a 6% holdback that we're experiencing, and that 6% holdback will have an impact on the college to the tune of probably about $2.7 million. Santa Fe College we are a fiscally responsible institution and a fiscally astute and sound institution. So quickly after the pandemic hit us, we anticipated that there would be some type of fiscal impact. So we made sure that we had enough resources available to weather the storm. As an institution, we have contingency funding in place that will help support us through the budget shortfall, and we'll continue to find ways to make sure that we have efficiencies in place and that we continue to navigate the storm. This is my estimation. The 6% holdback will not be the end of it. I think in the coming year, or maybe years, we will still see the fiscal devastation of the pandemic. So our chief financial officer and myself, we have our heads together and looking at ways to continue to be fiscally astute. But one thing that will never change for us is our focus on making sure that our students succeed, our focus on continuing to introduce new programming, and our commitment to ensure that individuals are exposed to the power of education. With that said, we will tighten our belts, and we'll continue to tighten our belts, but we will be fiscally responsible. I do want to say that this is where partnerships come in. This is where us working together comes in. It's important for us as an institution to make those connections, to talk to business and industry about maybe supporting some academic programs or maybe supporting some scholarships for our students. So we are going to look at new ways to ensure that we continue our successful track record. And those ways don't always rely on state funding to support us.
Thank you, Dr. Brody. Next question, and I know you've been here for 7 or 8 months and have lived through a pandemic, and so this may be a little bit different, but what do you enjoy most about Greater Gainesville so far?
I'm going to give you my most, so can I start with what I enjoy least?
Certainly.
Okay. Here's, all right, you ready for this? So I'm not really afraid of many things, but if you're out with me and walking around and like a lizard jumps out, you'll see me run. I am. So that's the one thing I'm trying to get used to is the wildlife here. The lizards and et cetera. And that's been a slow process for me. So I still run when I see a lizard. What I enjoy most is the people. The people here have such a caring spirit and caring heart. And that's what I enjoy most. When I go into the stores, et cetera, it's such a pleasure to have conversations with individuals. And when I sit down with community leaders, they're all focused on how to help the community. And to me, that's so rewarding, so rich, and so I just love that spirit. The Gainesville spirit is what I enjoy most.
Thank you. And as a fellow Northerner, you are after my own heart. The lizards and the wildlife are interesting. You'll get used to them eventually, though, I promise.
Okay.
So my second question, you said a little while ago that you wanted to know the community, you wanted the community to know that education is for them. So what are the ways that you would begin to, help to foster that sense of belonging, for any member in the community that would make them automatically think, if I want to advance, I should go to Santa Fe?
That's where we need to make sure that we tell our story. So it's important for me, and whether it's through Zoom or in person, the college, the colleges are already, we have the Gainesville Initiative, we have several initiatives, but as president, I want to be out talking to the community about those opportunities. I want to be standing side by side with the student that graduated and is now at UF and talking about college is for you. I want to be the one standing there saying to the community, this is my story, and here's how you can achieve success, right? There's different ways to get there. The Blunt Center, which will be now the Blunt campus, will be vital in that, in introducing and inviting the community into our college. When an individual says to you, college is not for me, we have to change that mindset. So our team will be infused throughout the community. We will, and I said this to editorial board. One of the things that the editorial board can truly help us with is help Santa Fe tell its story of impact, and introduce people to the many, many opportunities that exist.
Thank you. What differences have you noticed between your previous college posts and Santa Fe College?
The major difference is that there is this true sense of community and true sense of how do we all make a difference. So my previous position, we had that, but there's something special and very unique and extremely strong about how the community. I met Miss Rosa, and and I didn't have a Miss Rosa in Connecticut. Uh, uh, but to look at these individuals, these what I call icons, and their commitment to making sure that the community thrives is something that is rich, and I don't want to say different, but there's more of it here.
Got it. So you mentioned earlier that the college pivoted in the wake of COVID. And so if you could talk a little bit about what's working better than it was before, and in what ways you think the college may not pivot back when things return to whatever the new normal is going to be.
Sure. So I think what COVID did for us is expose how strong we are in the delivery of education. So our faculty had to shift their courses online in the blink of an eye. In fact, they had to do it in a week. And to watch faculty go through a crash training, move their courses to an online delivery format, and keep the focus on what is good for their students has been powerful. Now, here's what we learned. We learned how strong we were in the delivery of virtual education. All of our student services shifted to a virtual format. We were, in fact, having virtual student activities for students to keep them engaged. And what that's told us is, as an institution, we can reach even more students virtually. So as we shift back to an on-campus platform, we will strengthen that virtual delivery format so that we can reach even more individuals through education. So that is one of the most powerful things that we learned. Now, here's what didn't work, and I mentioned it. What didn't work is going 100% virtual. So going 100% virtual left people behind. It impacted our mission of access. So for us, it exposed something. It exposed that people in our rural communities and people that were not of means needed a in-person experience. And we have our centers. For us, it's important that we fill those centers with students, and we ensure that we're promoting access throughout the community.
Thank you. So race, COVID, and the recession are at the forefront of everything these days, but what other issues do you believe are pressing at the college, and how do you plan to address them?
The major issue that's pressing at the college is fiscal. So like the question says, race, COVID, but the fiscal piece is pressing. As I said, the 6% holdback, if there's additional holdbacks, what I have to protect the institution from is cutting of programs and services, right? Because that's at the heart of what we do. So I have to make sure that as an institution that we navigate the fiscal situation. And that is the most pressing thing before us now as an institution. We're going to seek grants. Our grants office over the years has secured $20 million in grant funds. We just secured over $4 million in funding to help at-risk students. So we will have to be even more aggressive in looking for other ways to carry out our mission that don't rely on state funds. So that is the most pressing thing before us.
Thank you. What do you believe are some of Santa Fe College's least known but most powerful legacies, and how do you plan to build on them?
Many people don't know the power of some of the things that we do. So we have many people will know that we have a zoo on campus. But many people will not know that that zoo takes care of some of the most endangered species in the world. In fact, there were two, there's a Guam rail, and there's another species that was endangered. These are birds. And we brought them into our zoo. And those species have now been released into the wild, right? Many people don't know that we do that. Many people don't know that that we're working very closely with the business community and business and industry to ensure that small businesses are successful and that they thrive through our small business center. Many people may not be aware of the many initiatives that we have in place, like our Gainesville initiative, our Bradford County initiative, that looks to support underrepresented students and help them thrive in college. And the last thing, many people may not know that large numbers of dual enrollment students that come to our institution. I think people know about our transfer rates to the University of Florida. I think people know about the success our students achieve when they come to Santa Fe and then transfer on. But our workforce programs are just as successful, right? Our construction technology program is just as successful. So there's probably some things that we need to help inform the community about as well.
Thank you. So the majority of people working professionally in this area may not be native to Gainesville. So many of us have come from other places. And so everyone has a story about the moment that Gainesville became home for them. And I heard you say earlier that it's definitely home, but is there a specific moment that you can recall that you knew that this was the place for you?
Yes. And it's before I got here. So I said I did extensive homework before, actually before even applying for the position. And I did that because you want to make sure that if you assume a presidency in a location that you're going to be able to be a part of the fabric of the community, that the community's values and beliefs align with yours. So the second that I hung up the phone with those leaders that I talked with, the more reading I did about Gainesville, the more I knew that it was home. The other thing that I have great interest in making a difference. And so seeing where I can make a difference, I knew that's where I want to lay my hat. You know, I want to be at the forefront of helping the chamber and helping University of Florida address some of the challenges that we have as a community, helping the mayor address some of the challenges that we have as a community. So I knew then it was home. It was solidified when I secured the position and began to go with Dr. Sasser to meet with some of the community leaders and meet with individuals within the community. I just knew it was home. I mentioned Miss Rosa and some of the others, the chief of police and the sheriff. It just, everyone was singing the same song. And I just knew this is where I wanted to be.
Thank you. Santa Fe College has a very regional footprint. So you've got a lot of a presence that's not necessarily right here in Gainesville proper or in the surrounding area immediately. So what are some of the focal issues you see in those communities that aren't right here, you know, in Gainesville or even, you know, right in Alachua County that you would like to focus on?
Mm-hmm. I mentioned the Bradford County initiative. There is very similar to Gainesville in Bradford County. There are very similar challenges. There's poverty, there's high poverty rates in certain pockets, and there is a lack of access to education. So we have our centers in the Watson Center, the Davis Center, and the Andrews Center. And for me, it's to find ways to introduce new academic programming specific academic programming at those centers and provide access to those individuals. Now, we attract individuals throughout Florida, and being a #1 college with high transfer rates to the university, high successful transfer rates to the University of Florida, it's important for us to recognize our impact across the state. And for me, it's important for us to capitalize on the fact that we have students that come from all over to experience our education. And many of those individuals, quite often, don't leave Gainesville. And they stay in Gainesville, and they add to the vibrant community here. So for me, it's looking at where's those opportunities, and there's a lot of opportunities in Bradford County. There's up and coming area of Newberry and out in those areas where we need to make sure that we're inviting the community into our centers, inviting the community into our college.
Thank you. And our final question is just one I always like to ask. Is there anything that we haven't asked you that you want to share?
Give me a second. No, you haven't asked me about what I like to do in my spare time.
So what is that?
To tell you the truth, what I like to do in my spare time is attend events, get out and meet people. I like to shop. So if you see me, you know, once our situation changes, if you see me out and about, please make sure you speak to me and engage. And I love to talk to people. I love to sit and engage, and I love to have conversations. And by the way, I love to have lunch. So Eric, I don't know how you're going to make up for the fact that we're having a virtual lunch, but you haven't fed me. So I do like to interact with the community and individuals in my spare time outside of the college. So you'll see me at a baseball game. You know, if there's any activities that you want to invite me to, please do.
By all means, thank you so much. This is a great program, Dr. Brody.
Thank you.
I'm going to hand it over now to Eric to close us out.
Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you so much, Dr. Brody. That was incredible, and I will make sure I rectify that meal situation. Hey, don't worry. Hey, I love people, and I also love to eat, so hey, that won't be a problem. So we will take care of that, and thank you for sharing so much. That was very rich, very insightful. We as a community are extremely excited. I can tell you, we wait with bated breath on what's happening on the New Blunt campus. So I'm excited to hear that more activity is happening there this week. So with that, I just want to thank you again for such an incredible presentation. And those were great questions and engagement. And I want to thank Destiny for the great job and for Douglas William, Executive Health, for always being there for us. And everyone, please have a wonderful day. Be safe. Don't forget, wear your mask. And hey, thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. Take care.